actually in-game. Wow. So, hello, how are you all doing? Welcome to this best of 5 between Zest, our blue Protoss in the bottom left-hand corner, and Maru, our red Terran in the top right-hand corner. This is a best of 5 from the DreamHack Last Chance Asian Server Qualifier. It's played out yesterday, so these are replays. I got hold of these because I thought Maru and Zest would be a very fun series to watch, and hence, here we are. Just thought it'd be a fun one to cast to fill a bit of time. Yesterday, we had to end the stream short because Twitch went down. So today, I thought we may as well use it as a little bit of additional filler between tournaments. And like I say, hence here we are. Barracks off to the right-hand side, so Maru already going to be playing some mind games and some trickery at the very start of this TvP. As we'll see how this goes down, we'll see what happens. Starting up on Hardwire for our initial map. I'm kind of excited to see what happens. Kind of excited to see how this is gonna go, right? I think this is definitely one of those matchups which, you know, Maru is the big favorite lately, but there was times in the last year and a half where I feel like Zest had some of the best PvT in the world. And I really do stand by that. There was a time when he won WardiTV event, and he just, like, his PvT looked so freaking good. He beat Q, he beat TY, and he just looked so good in doing so. And that was a while ago, don't get me wrong, but, you know, Zest has those days where he almost channels on his previous self, you know? He has those days where he's like, remember when I was a god? And then he just plays like a god again. So in that regard, I definitely expect this to be at least a bit of fun. But honestly, even if this turns into, like, pure Maru domination, I think it's always fun to watch Maru play a little bit of best of 5 TvP as well, right? You know, I don't think there's any harm in watching a little bit of Maru games anyway. So that was my logic in kind of jumping on and getting these replays and, like I say, using them as a little bit of filler content, filler games between tournaments. Maru is going to be found trying to build that bunker right from the start. That's going to be seeing our Reaper getting probe kills. So Reaper is here to protect the bunker, and bunker is going to get to go up. Well, actually, the Adept is going to say no. So Reaper does not get a bunker to play with, but I mean, it brings the Adept out of position, so now you get a probe kill. He wants to try and dodge this Adept shade. It's kind of awkward, right? Because, yeah, he was in a bit of a weird place, and now he knows he maybe is a little bit stuck. The Adept shade's the wrong way, though, and that might be the Reaper's exit strategy. Oh, he gets out of there in the end. Nice for Maru. Good bit of micro to work his way out of trouble. Because that absolutely was a little bit problematic right away. So, yeah, works his way out of trouble there. I'm just going to be seeing the Oracle on the way up from Zest at the moment. Warp Gate is still coming through. And I'm just going to be seeing a couple of additional Marines on the way out from Maru as well. As a Tech Lab drops in, Bunker's coming through. Twilight Council building from Zest. So he's going to just go Stargate into Twilight pretty quickly. Nothing too weird there. And especially if he just goes an Oracle, he could still just go for a later Blink. Not the most common way to play Oracle into Blink. I mean, you see a lot of Phoenix openers into Charge later, you know, lately and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I imagine you just go Blink off one Oracle, right? Because you just don't have the control of the map like you need if you're just going to go one Oracle. So then you kind of need to go for those Stalkers, and if you don't, you're just kind of putting yourself into a very troubling, difficult position to play out from. So that kind of just needs to be something to be aware of here. Because we do have Blink starting and Maru just going up into his command center on the natural. Viking is hunting for the Oracle, but is in the wrong place. Now, Marines can defend the main. Obviously, one Oracle, one SCV already being picked off, but in general, Marines can keep this Oracle away from the main, so it isn't a major issue. As the CC is going to float down to the natural, and just going to be seeing a couple more Marines continuing out as the medevac and tank continue into production as well. A couple of Warp Gates going through, and that Blink is still just chrono boosting away right now. And into a nice little setup, a nice little position for the moment. Viking comes back around. He's going to land in the background as well as we start to move forward. Oracle putting a bit of damage out onto the Viking. The Viking then lifts back up as a couple of these Stalkers are going to start moving through, and just going to be seeing this Viking for the moment kind of being chased away. Nice defense, right? You don't want that Viking to come through and to deal too much damage. You don't want it to create too many complications. You just want a nice simple game where you're not losing workers early and you can just get set up into a good strong position. And I mean, that's what Zest continues to play for at the moment. That's what he's continuing to go on into as the Nexus comes down on the third base location. Gets that set up and ready to roll. So a few adepts already shading out from Zest as well up to the top side. Here comes the Widow Mine drop moving in. 1 and 2 Widow Mines, and for a moment Zest was like, I'm gonna pull probes to fight this, and he's like, I actually did this a few times in the past and never worked well. He's like, okay, fine, I'll just split my probes away. Problem is, if the Widow Mines are alive, right, it's a little bit frustrating because now you've got alive Widow Mines. They can just micro and jump back in the medevac and unburrow and reburrow and deny mining time for just so freaking long. And that's obviously extremely frustrating to play against, and that's why Zest was kind of somewhat immediately kind of like, oh, you know what, I kind of want to just shut you down here and just get the kills on this pretty much right away. Stalker's in the main, and they are going to continue to chunk through a few SCVs at the moment, so, I mean, nice little bit of blink play using that Oracle for the high ground vision for the blink up. And, yeah, not bad, right? I mean, you can deny the gas mining here. Oh, but 6 more probes go down across the map, as this Widow Mine is still not really dealt with, right? So Widow Mine continuing to be a problem at the moment. It's just going to be seen double forge. That's looking towards a very upgrade-heavy future. I don't really mind what the damage Maru has taken for the probes that he's killing. I feel like the probes he's killing is more of a hindrance to Zest than what Zest would like to admit. Chases those blinkers away right now as well, so you kind of put yourself in a spot as Stim comes through and +1 comes through. You've got a good tank count. You're definitely going to have a push here with a Raven to back you up as well. I think that push is going to be more decisive about this game than anything else is, so we'll see how it goes as we just have units moving back on through and just seeing ourselves a Dark Shrine from Zest, so a little dangerous, right? Because now you're going to invest into DTs. If they don't do anything, like if your DTs don't really do damage here, you're going to be in a bit of trouble, you know? The DTs don't do any damage. You get put into a position where you are going to be finding yourself just pretty much behind right away, and without the splash that you need and the tech that you need to really survive a Terran push. So these DTs need to find value, and they need to find value very quickly. Let's see if they can do so. Just going to see the couple of depots continuing up right now, as we do have our Oracle still moving around. Just a little Revelation coming in, and just going to tag that onto the main base as well. Again, just to look to see what else can maybe be done here overall. As we do have our 1-1 upgrades continuing up on the forges. There's a Shadow Stride coming through, by the way, also. Scan Shadow Stride up and running. Couple more DTs coming out. Bio Army is going to move through, and just going to have our Viking pushing the Oracle away. Just going to be seeing the scan, the Revelation, sorry, coming down to keep track of this as it comes across the map. So, making a move out down the bottom left side. Stalker's just continuing to blink back in, just going to see our DTs moving in. Just going to be having a few of these SCVs continue to drop as DT's doing alright. 8-9 workers going down right now. Raven still going to be valuable here. Anti-armor missile. You want to hit the Zealots or so, though, rather than the Stalkers, and you can see right now he waits because the Stalkers were going to blink away from the anti-armor missile, then it's not effective. And he couldn't get towards the Zealots because the Stalkers were zoning the Raven out, but I mean, 15 workers go down, don't get me wrong. I mean, the DT's definitely put in some value. We do just get auto turrets down out of the Raven in the end. Oh my goodness, the Zealots there just melted. +1 armor finished halfway through this fight, so it was there towards the end, but it wasn't there initially, so a lot of Zealots went down without that +1 armor at first. I mean, that was just an issue of running into tank lines with those Zealots towards the end there, as it just seems as though Maru has way too much army supply in his favor, cancels the warp in, and I mean, now you've got to start the warp in all over again. Well, that's never fun, as I mean, he still has all of his tanks, and his Widow Mine's further back to the left-hand side. The Raven coming through, I think that just got shot down. I see the shadow of it dying. As more bio units will continue across. Some medevacs reinforcing. And Maru quadruples the army supply of Zest there. It was 16 to 64 for a moment, a perfect quadrupling. And that should just be a game over. Tanks are now moving back over as well, just to help. I mean, like I say, all these fights have been without the tanks for a while. As Zest plays a little bit of catch-up, but in the end, again, you're just on Zealot Stalker because you use DTs. And if you didn't make the DTs, yes, you wouldn't have killed 15 probes, but you might have had more splash damage here for this fight. That not being a factor definitely was influential and definitely kind of paved the way I mean, like I say, it's a choice you make, and I don't necessarily think it's always a bad choice. Just this time it wasn't enough, and yeah, the DTs did work, just you still had to have an army to defend with at the end, so looks like Maru will grab this map 1 of the best of 5. And we'll just continue through. Scan goes down, GG is called, and Maru gets the 1-0 lead in the series. So, in the top left-hand side, we're going to have a blue Protoss player whose DTs just didn't quite do enough there that time around. It is going to be Zest in the top left, as in the bottom right from Team NV. Our red Terran player is Maru. I just wanted to say quickly, just as I forgot to do so between the games, apparently I was too eager to get in-game. I'm Rakit, thank you so much for your big resub. And Leecher007, thank you so much for the fresh new sub. I get you guys both in the tree after this game. I just want to say as well, if you end up watching this one on the YouTube channel, I know, what's this? You guys thought you weren't going to get told to do things on YouTube today because it wasn't at the start of the video? OMG. If you do enjoy the first game, and you're enjoying the series in general, and you're enjoying the cast, and do consider liking the video, and maybe consider even dropping down a sub, dare I ask? Yeah, always helps. Helps keeps the YouTuber going. As we get this set up and rolling here. See what goes down as that probe is going to come through. Somewhat the center. I mean, small map, curious minds. A lot of the times it is one of the vetoes from the Protoss player against a Terran. Obviously, the size doesn't really do you many favors. A lot of attacks come too quickly. The third is very open, which just isn't good for defending as a Protoss either. So I feel like a lot of things just work against you on this map. Definitely would say that Zest picked Hardwire map 1, Maru picking Curious Minds map 2. And Maru even being tricky on the start with the barracks obviously just out the base a little bit and just going to build the Reaper from there. It just makes it more difficult for Zest to scout and confirm exactly what's going on as well. Factory is going to drop in the main as the clean bot gets blown up. And that's where the probe comes up, and is obviously A, going to confirm the factory's in the main, which is nice. And B, it's going to confirm that the, well, it's just going to get a good bit of scouting, right? I mean, basically the factory's in the main, that's the main part of this. But yeah, actually going to, that was the other thing I was going to say. It kind of pushes an SCV away, does some damage to it, right? So that was nice as well. In the end, we'll go down as the Reaper comes back to clean it up, but that's nice too, because then you force the Reaper to come into the main to deal with the probe, which means the Reaper is not across the map in your base, which means that these units can actually now move across, and now maybe Zest can get something done moving through the map here. Reaper hops up into the main. Battery is going to finish, and just going to see our grenade going down. Probe's getting blasted around, and a Stargate will drop into the back of the main as well. It's just getting that up and rolling. Here comes our Stalker Zealot moving forward at the front here. Gonna walk up that ramp, but not really gonna find too much right away. I mean, gonna start to work their way through a depot. That's about all for the moment. Fire Council is building from Zest. I mean, obviously Maru has its CC in the main, so gonna be a little bit slower expanding, but I don't think he's too bothered, as overall he's just kind of in a position where he says, okay, well, yeah, you know, I'm kind of happy with my position. I'm kind of happy with my setup. Everyone seems pretty happy and okay here. I'm going to be able to expand eventually. I know I'm safe. I'm not going to die to anything right away. And it means he can really just have the freedom of choice on what he wants to do with that factory and starport a little bit as well. If it sits over to the right side, just going to be seeing our blink still coming through. And in fact, about halfway done. A couple extra Marines coming in. Reaper dropping a little grenade down on towards that Zealot as he just try and move around to try and find a little bit of just whatever else is going on. Not really a lot at the moment, though, as Factory drops onto a different tech lab. Starport will move over, so will the CC. Lots of building movement in the base of Maru. Really is the excitement for our early game at the moment. Not much else going on at this point, as everything else has just slowed down a little bit. Medevac has a Widow Mines in, heading to the top, so making a bit of a play. Otherwise, it's going to drop down. Now we see a couple of probes getting picked up. We're going to come back through. Mine burrows up again. Again, just look at all those probes that aren't mining during this as well, right? It's just buying some time. Just making life complicated for Zest. I mean, obviously you get a scout through the base with the medevac as well, which made its exit through the left-hand side. It's now on its way back home. So yeah, pretty much just exactly what you would like out of an early kind of Widow Mine drop. It gets all the information you're really looking for. It just puts you in a nice, strong spot to begin with, I would say, right? No real complications there, as you see an additional racks coming up, so that's 3 racks in total. Off the back of the factory and stop one, again, we're really just playing the gold standard right now. And Stalker's going to struggle as well. It's a ramp up into the natural. We get the bunker there. It's going to be tough to really break. I mean, that's why it's kind of weird, right? Because in general in this map, you don't want to take a fast third either, because it's such a small map. You do feel probably pretty pretty endangered if you take a third base too quickly. It's a fun little creepy grenade, but doesn't do too much. I was going to see our Robobear about to complete Nexus. Dropping down on the left-hand side as well. I'm just going to be seeing our Stim Combat +1. All the upgrades from Maru coming through also here as we make our way into Colossus production. Zest obviously finally getting that third base rolling. Basically just wants to say, if I'm fighting up for my third base, I wanted to be with, splash damage available. So I was more or less just waiting for the Colossi to come through before that got underway. A little bit of this Bioforce will move out through the natural and a little bit toward the center here. Stalkers initially looking to move forward. Oh, good tanks positioning. It's going to force those Stalkers back immediately. Maru is going to get a good jump starter moving across the map if he wants to go all the way across. 51 to 31 army supply. I'm a little worried because obviously the Raven has good energy and there's one Colossus out. You can Matrix that Colossus to really bully yourself into a good position here. I don't feel like Zest is doing a very good job at all of slowing down Maru from coming across the map. Plus, it's a short map. I actually think Zest is in a lot of trouble. I think this Raven's going to drop a really critical Matrix. And I think these tanks are just... I mean, these tanks can siege up right here. I mean, now you just push forward with the tanks a little further. You Matrix if Zest tries to engage, and you just stim at your opponent if you need to. Stim combat shield's about to finish. I mean, the timing is pretty much impeccable once again from Maru. Was just here exactly as his upgrades are ready. And now he's in position to start chipping at that third base. He'll move the tanks even further forward, so they are in range as well. Command Center coming through. Nexus is going to fall. Bioforce just going to pick off the pylon. Tanks continuing up the left-hand side. Now we're going to stim forward. Double Matrix. Yep. I mean, it didn't play out quite like I thought. That he didn't even need the Matrix initially to get in position. But now, obviously, he can drop double Matrix and take both the Colossi out the game. All the splash damage is gone. And Maru is going to take himself into a 2-0 lead in what is a qualifying match here in this DreamHack Last Chance qualifier. Up right corner is going to be our Red Terran player from Team NV. Up 2-0 and looking for the win with this map. It is going to be Maru. Been looking pretty good so far, right? Like I said, that last game maybe didn't exactly play out like I thought. I thought he would have had to Matrix to get into the position to take down the third. But his army was just scary enough that Zest didn't even want to contest it. He didn't have extended thermal lance or anything, so he just didn't even want to contest it. He let it get into position, and obviously by then, the Raven just had 2 Matrixes for 2 Colossi. So yeah, map 3, and we'll see what Maru can do. We'll see if Zest in the bottom left is going to make it any more interesting than what we've seen so far. Obviously, so far, not really the case. He's struggling a bit, as once again, Maru will build a barracks out on the map a little bit. Not a real proxy, just out his base. Again, making it difficult for Zest to judge exactly how aggressive Maru wants to be right away. And we can work our way forward from here. Am I casting the qualifiers later? Yes, I'm going to be casting the DreamHack Europe qualifiers later. We will take a little bit of a break between... when this series ends, basically, I don't have anything else to cast until we'll start. Probably looking at maybe like... I mean, depends how quick this map is and if Maru 3-0s or not, but... yeah, maybe like an hour and a half to an hour long break, depending how long the rest of the series takes, so... yeah. We'll just put something on to entertain you guys. We'll find a video to put on and keep you guys full of action in between. Wardy, did you write my name earlier? I missed it. Yes, primal scientist. I remember because then you asked what your name was on the screen for, and that was when I was putting your thing on the tree. You're on there somewhere. I promise you. Reaper is heading down across the map as we go for a little bit of action. Oh man, I hate SCVs are so annoying. I'm a Terran player, so obviously I kind of like them sometimes, but like, oh my god, you're kidding me? He went to the other side again? No, don't do it one more time. Don't do it. Oh no! This SCV just dodged the Zealot like 3 times. Oh my god, that Zealot is actually done. He's just like, he literally had to walk from one side to the other, and he still didn't get a shot on the SCV to finish it off. My goodness. Marina's going to chase the probe, and probe is just going to run around the back. And Maru is going to pick up on that. So, of course, the probe at least picking up info. Sees that actually it's a starport before you expand, which is pretty good info to have, because that is a much more aggressive setup than usual. I mean, we will expand, so it's not a full one-base committal, but it's a very fast Widow Mine drop, which means these Widow Mines are going to be arriving pretty much as you have one Stargate unit, so definitely something to be a little careful about. Gotta be cautious there. Don't want to get too ahead of yourself and let your defenses down, because you're not going to have a lot to defend with initially. Definitely one thing to watch out for is to see a couple of Stalkers, and Zealot are going to go wandering across to the top of the map. Reaper is going to hop in and have a little bit of a look-see and realize it's walled off, but he sees the Stargate, right? So confirms the scout and just lets you know, okay, well, this is what your opponent's doing, this is what you got to set up to deal with. As Maru, he actually takes shots on the medevac trying to come across the map initially, so straight into Viking and a Cyclone beyond this as well. Just saying, you know what, time for me to get into my anti-Stargate play. And if I can shut down these Oracles hard, I might have some kind of a counter-attack potential further down the line. Nice to just have this medevac kind of have a couple shots on it already. Might make this a lot better continuing on from here. Oh, wow. Cyclone pops, and that's 2 dead Stalkers. However, now the Oracle shows up. No, just gets it. I thought the repair was good enough, or I sat with bated breath. I didn't even want to say anything, because I wasn't sure, as one of these Widow Mines will go off, and the other one will go off as well. I think you just take the second kill. Okay, unburrow, reburrow will force more lost mine time. So if you let this go off now, I think you do. You're going to get 2 probes, and then you can probably still save it as well, because your medevac should not be that far away. Okay, well, it does get saved, I believe, as the Oracle goes around the side. Yeah, both the Widow Mines got saved. So another Oracle into the base. In the end, still going to get some damage done, as we're going to be seeing. Oh, low HP now, though. I mean, that's both the Oracles with some, proper damage on them. That is going to hurt a little bit. Widow Mine shot goes off, and again, just trying to be as annoying as possible here as our Stalkers clearing up and just going to be finally putting an end to this annoyance in the natural expansion. But again, not a bad start at all for Maru, who just really can, when he wants to, put himself into just very good positions just from these early game situations. Actually did lose 1 Oracle in the end, Zest, so he's only got 2 remaining here. As defense against that is honestly looking pretty reasonable right now. I mean, it's a pretty good setup as the Oracles come in. We got 2 SCVs. There's a third one that was low HP, so he does get 3, but he loses another Oracle. I mean, that feels expensive, losing Oracles like that. As okay, he loses all of the Oracles. Honestly, if you lose the Oracles, I don't think Maru really cares how many SCVs he's lost, as long as he hasn't lost like 10 or more, right? I mean, if you lost like 15, you're genuinely just kind of dead in the eco game, sure, but a few SCVs going down here and there, but all 3 Oracles dying, that's a lot of investment early game from Zest. That now is no longer on the map. It's information Zest could be gathering that is now no longer being gathered. It's just not good to lose all of the Oracles. Like, you lose 1 when you're building 3, it's like, okay, well, you can't one-shot SCVs or Marines now, but you still have 2 to scout around with. You lose 2, it's like, oh, well, at least I've got 1 to scout. And it's like, wow, now you've got nothing. Don't think Maru's too upset losing a few SCVs along the way for it, as His army looks good. Blink is obviously only just now finishing. It was pretty heavy Oracle play, 3 Oracles, right? So it's not like you have Blink quickly after either, and that means you're not going to have a fast charge. So this first attack might be difficult to deal with too. There's nothing holding Maru at home right now, and because Blink isn't done already, if you wanted to move out like right now, which he might not, he probably could have already made good progress on the map. That might have lined up with Sim finishing, but I mean, for now he'll just sit back and wait around as these Stalkers now do get to take map control at least, and they will start to slow down any attack that Maru might start to progress towards. Again, a Dark Shrine and charge. So Zest is just going to go for, again, mostly Zealot Stalker with the DTs as a harassing option. Maybe a couple of Archons can be brought into play at home when it comes to trying to fight that army as well. That will also be a choice here that we will have. Stage Maru just taking a couple steps forward. Has not started a third CC yet, right? So currently without that is why he kind of wants to get forward. He'll want to put this third CC in position when he does make his move and try and make something of it. So basically kind of waiting on that, as we do see an extra gateway on the right side. That's why Zest will warp in from, because he doesn't have a robo. So he wants to bring units aggressively into his side of the map. He also has a gateway on the top side of the map as well, warping in a few Zealots, and they are already charging forward. His charge is now finished, and these Stalkers are just counterattacking, because basically Zest knows he can get in, do some damage, and he can basically just recall home to defend, because it's a long map, and Maru is nowhere near in an aggressive position yet. So that's exactly what Zest will do as he moves up here. He's already used his Blink, so he will sacrifice 2 Stalkers to go up into the Widow Mines. That part of this, a little bit more costly perhaps than expected or wanted. But these Stalkers picking their way through a good few SCVs, just working their way through that, and I mean, here comes Maru on the other side, just going to go through an Assimilator, working his way through the Nexus as well. A lot of these SCVs just continue to drop. We blink across. I mean, 43 dead workers. Maru's killed the entire Natural, but I mean, Zest now can recall these Stalkers. I mean, can he just clean out this army? Oh, well, if he keeps on base trading, he's going to have DTs against someone who might just not have any scans. We have DTs already. We have 4 of them, yeah. If he can just take down these orbitals and then Maru doesn't have scans, there is a Raven, so there is detection available. If you can just snipe down the Raven, that might be a game-winning move. That might just be the way that Zest is trying to play for this victory. Okay, well, this gets very interesting then. Zest saves a few probes, so he can actually build a Nexus back at home as well. That will force Maru to come back across here. Does kill this orbital, does kill that orbital. Maru has no money and no SCVs, so he is completely all in on the base trade. Does he just not have buildings across the map? Maybe he just dies to losing all his structures. That one starport, I think, is his saving grace. I think that one starport can sit in a corner and not be hit. But of course, eventually Zest is going to get a Stargate, and he can fight that because he's got the probes to build a Nexus. So Zest is not in trouble of just losing this game. And that will be Maru's issue, is that he can't really force a draw in the long run unless he gets rid of those probes and the incoming Nexus. And that involves Maru running around and then at some point fighting Zest's army, and that's what Zest is going to want, because then Zest can force the fight in a position that he clearly thinks is going to be more favorable for him. He can extend the fight by playing the Blink Stalker game and picking off a unit here and a unit there before the fight happens. Maru gets a couple of units or structures, sorry, out to the corners, but not sure it's going to be much of a game changer. By army down the bottom right side. Fire Force coming through. Stalker's just getting some shots off. Now blinking back. He tanks into the medevacs over the left. Tanks are in the left-hand side as well. Raven coming through. The pylon killed. I mean, Zest has a Nexus. He morphed his DTs into Archons. Makes sense because there's still a Raven, right? So now you've got a bit of splash and a bit more kind of beef to this army as well. His base trade, well, he is in kind of Zest's hands right now. He's got a flank on this army as well, but that's a very narrow pathway. We don't see this part of Glittering Ashes a lot. I mean, Maru's going to try and force Zest in. Super Battery pops already. I mean, it's about kind of finding the fight. Anti-armor missile is going to hit a lot. Sorgs will blink in. One tank goes down. Make that the 2. He didn't hit the tank right away. The Widow Mines did a lot. Interference Matrix and an auto turret as well. Very, very close, honestly. And I think Zest will win simply for the fact he has the Blink Stalkers still. And he can just blink. And again, Maru is the one that kind of needs to make something happen. And there's still 2 batteries there. And he just doesn't think he can break those at all. GG's. And my goodness, that actually became a very, very close base trade as Zest will stay alive in this qualifying match. We'll keep this going. GG's, and Maru takes the 2-1 lead over Zest. Well, keeps the 2-1 lead, but Zest fights back. Sorry, my bad. Top left is going to be our Red Terran player, up 2-1. It is Team NV's Maru. Bottom right, our Blue Protoss is going to be Zest from Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Let's see if he can keep up the momentum of that base trade victory and take it all the way through to a Game 5. That'd be nice. More StarCraft games, I hear? Yes, please. Let's do it. Tiba going down. Pylon coming up. Probe on the way as we get ourselves set up here initially. Just get all of this ready to rumble here in map number 4. Gonna put a barracks down out on the map. Short map build and grab, but continues to just build racks on the map a little bit away. Dust is gonna check out this right-hand side and just checking, I guess, so for an initial proxy before he moves across the other side. Makes some sense, to be fair. Those gases on the top left from Maris, double gassing it up. Definitely will be able to drop the factory down when this barracks is done. A lot of what Maru likes to do. Some people do like to just expand off the back of this kind of first racks on the map or so and then brought back into the base, but Maru really does just like building the factory a lot of the time and just being very safe early game and giving himself some harassing options to then move forward with. Next, this is on the way up, Cybercore from Zest as well. Still just following his probe. Let's see what he gets done here. I mean, SCV checks, sees the expansion is down. Reaper about to be done. There's our factory pre-expansion from the Terran, as we've seen many a time before. And Zest's going to drop a pylon up here. I mean, that's a Stargate pylon, but off the back of an expansion. So we're just going to, what, proxy, Stargate, and Oracle into the base? I imagine so. I mean, this is pretty much as close as you can get to the main without, well, I mean, building it here would be kind of a little bit easy to spot, especially when Maru builds his racks on the map and flies it back in. So the Stargate immediately once the Cybercore is done. And here's the Reaper, which is going to scout very importantly. No second pylon in the base. So you already know there's a pylon missing. So Maru is already aware of the potential of a proxy. I think this Reaper's just going to commit for the second probe. And he's going to... Don't tell me, is he going to... Oh, he's out. Yeah, the grenade was well placed. And there's a path up to the top here as well, so you don't even have to go out the front of the natural. 3 dead probes. And Zest already taken some initial damage. Because Maru doesn't expand immediately and he goes for the factory and now he knows there's a pylon missing, he just goes straight to a Cyclone. And so immediately he's just going to have a Cyclone to defend ground units, air units. In fact, he's already on his way up here. Maru just knows, man. He just knows that Zest is missing a pylon, and he just knows that it's likely to be there, so he just confirms the Oracle. Already has the information of what he's playing against, and if he can hide this Cyclone until the Oracle moves too deep into the main to get out of a Cyclone lock-on, that could just be an insta-kill on an Oracle, and then you've got a hell of a counterattack on your hands, potentially. He's going to make the Viking too, so the Oracle can't just hang out here forever. Oh, don't tell me. Zest is going to make a second Oracle before he commits? That's really bad, no? Because now... Because Maru knows, like, Zest doesn't know Maru knows, but I feel like you should be playing as though Maru knows. Even if he didn't realize the Stargate was spotted, surely you should be playing as though Maru maybe even suggests that it's a Stargate because he knows there's no pile on the base. I feel like this is wild. Oh, this is bad, man. There's going to be 2 Cyclones and a Viking, and there is the double lock-on and a Viking, and that's a dead Oracle, and... Oh, and that's just GG. You see. Oh, interesting. I mean, it's really bad, though, right? I mean, you're an Oracle down. Maru is not afraid to go across the map after this, so he does just genuinely have the units to take this away. Okay, well, that kind of was a sucky last game, but the base trade game was pretty cool. I mean, it was fun to watch Maru in general, but yeah, the base trade game was kind of exciting. Maru overall just a bit too good and does take the 3-1. Qualifies for DreamHack Last Chance. That, of course,